Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is signs. And we're going to talk about if you've ever asked for a sign that you're going in the right direction or what path to take. And if you've ever received those signs, what are they? What do they look like? And how do they serve to embolden us to continue along the path that we're going or on a new path? So before we get started, let's take a couple minutes to settle in and get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells and all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, any stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, energizing all your cells, all your electrons, all your molecules, lighting you up from the inside out. And as you exhale any remaining stress, tension, negativity, fatigue. And now let's just gently press our palms together and very softly rub your fingers against your palms, just to feel the deliciousness of that tingling and tickling sensation, and to bring yourselves present to this amazing body that you're experiencing life through right here, right now. And welcome another week. It's amazing how quickly time goes by. I can't keep track. Anyway, it's great to be here with you. Thank you so much for spending the time here with me and in this wonderful community that we're establishing and growing. And it's such a gift to be with you. So today we're talking about signs and signals. And in a meditation that I was doing recently, it was a Joe Dispenza meditation. And at the end, he talks about asking for a sign from the universe that will come in a most unexpected and delightful way. Good morning, Rosalind. So good to have you here this morning. We're talking about signs. I'm sure you have some stories about asking for a sign or receiving a sign that you're going in the right direction, and these wonderful synchronicities, perhaps, or just really cool sorts of little winks from the universe. I should have called it winks from the universe, because that's what I consider them. So I have a funny story from the other night about a sign or a signal that just made me laugh and say, hey, okay, I hear you. Thank you. Thanks for being here and letting me know you're here, whatever this bigger energy is or intelligence. So I've been having this massive moth problem in my home for months, and it seems to be winding down, thankfully. But I had this horrible moth infestation, and I could easily kill 25 moths a night. I became a ruthless moth killer. Normally, I'm the kind of person that, I don't know if it's a kind of person, but typically when I find spiders and other insects, I usher them outside. However, moths, I have become a ruthless moth killer. Anyway, so moths have been very present in my awareness. And the other night, I guess it was a day after the meditation when I had asked for signs or whatever. The other night I was driving home. I got in the car to drive home from my mom's place, and there was a moth in my car. And I was just like, are you kidding me? here's a moth in my car, not just in my house, but in my car. Good morning, Alexandra. So wonderful to be here with you. Thank you so much for your compliment. So I got in my car and there's this moth flying around in my car. And so I open the windows, I turn on the radio, and what's on the radio? The Moth Radio Hour, which is a story hour. And I just had to laugh. And it was like, okay, I get it. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for letting me know that you're here, because like that's such a crazy coincidence, quote in big air quotes, just to have something like that happen. And I think that we're probably getting signs and signals all the time that we just don't recognize. And I just found this to be very funny, because moths have been such a problem, but I love the Moth Radio Hour. And just something goofy and silly like that. And I'm wondering if you have stories like that to share. And another thing happened that is pretty awesome, and who knows where it'll go, but you may know that I've been working on, I have a couple projects, and then I have a sustainability podcast called Sustainability Now. You can actually find it on any of the podcast networks that you would normally find a podcast. And you can also see it on our website. It's video interviews at sustainabilitynow.global. Anyway, I've been working on, or dreaming into being, whatever you want to call it, on two projects. One is to create an autonomously powered RV. I've been thinking hydrogen power, and I'm learning more about what the feasibility of that is. And the other project is an eco park, which is going to be just something like a sustainability World's Fair with all kinds of technologies and paradigms and practices and wondrous developments and a magnificent, splendorous environment that inspires and awes and creates wonder and learning, and hopefully evolution of consciousness around our relationship with the planet and one another. Anyway, so these are two big projects that I am committed to. And so I had an inspiration. It was a gorgeous, gorgeous day here on Sunday yesterday. And I had an inspiration to go to the park. And by the way, Maggie and I went to the park. I have this bird harness that she hates that I put on her. I put it on her not because she hates it, but because I want to be able to take her with me and not have her fly away. And so I put her in the bird harness and we drove off to the park. And I interestingly went away in the park that I don't normally go. And I ended up meeting this very interesting person who is a Leonardo da Vinci kind of person, in that he's an artist, a musician, an inventor, does electrical things, just is one of these people that is talented in so many arenas, but not just superficially, like crazy talented. Anyway, so we've been talking, and it may turn out to be that there's a wonderful connection there for these projects that I'm working on. So, this is another big, big, big sign from the universe, right? And I'm wondering what kinds of signs have you had? What kinds of signs have you had that the universe is listening, or that you're connected in another dimension of some sort? Because I love these stories of magic and synchronicities. I just it's what makes life worth living for me, to find these wonderful serendipitous moments. So I can remember another story, and we might consider that this is not just the universe, talking to us, but an individual, specific person, like messages from beyond. And maybe these other synchronicities are the same kind of messages, who knows? But I remember it was my dad's birthday, and he passed several years ago, and I was missing him. And I've shared this story before, but it's such a cool story. So I got a phone call, and I was just thinking about my dad. And my dad and I had all kinds of debates about consciousness and ghosts and life beyond, et cetera, mystical, magical things that he wanted to debunk, although he was very mystical and magical in his own way, even though he was in denial about it. Like, he saw ghosts running on a beach in Haiti, and he used to have visitations from friends of his who had passed, and all kinds of crazy stuff. But so in this one occasion, it was his birthday, and I was thinking of him and missing him. And right then my phone rings, and this was so wild. The caller ID on it said Dad. And that was just bizarro. And I answered the phone and I said, hello. And the person on the other said, hi, it's me. And I said, who's me? And he said, it's Dad. And I was like, I think you have the wrong number. And that it turned out that he had the wrong number, but it was like my dad got a message to me from the beyond somehow. Actually, I'm not sure. And now that I remember it, maybe I embellished this in my memory to say that the caller ID said it's Dad. I think it was a call, and I didn't recognize the number, but I never answer the calls that I don't recognize the number, but I answered this call, and the person on the other end said it's Dad. So yeah, I think that that's actually the truth, although the Dad ID makes it a better story. Anyway, so these, signs and signals that we're connected, that there's more going on. What I think I also have shared this story with you maybe multiple times of sitting out on my porch, or my I guess you could call it a porch. Anyway, sitting outside and looking at the street, and there was this woman that was walking down the street, and she was older and hunched and walking very slowly, and I had been practicing this presence of recognizing all the world as my reflection and projection, and being connected, and seeing this woman as myself walking by. And she actually stopped and turned to me and said, I love you. And that it was remarkable. I was feeling this love, this connection, and this woman stopped and said, I love you. And that was a huge message from the universe. It was remarkable. So I'm sure you guys have some good stories, some awesome stories. Please, please, please share them. I also want to, like, another way that we often see signs and confirmation is through numbers or through time. Like, I know a lot of us look at the clock and it's 11:11 or it's 1:11 or it's, for me, I see 1:23 or 2:34 a lot. And those are little winks from the universe. At least I take them as such, that I'm connected somehow. And what is the result of these signs and signals that we receive? Well, for me, it's confirmation. It's just like a pat on the back, or I see you kind of wink from the universe that inspires me or helps to reinforce or reassure, that I'm going in the right direction. Or I know a bunch of people who are master manifestors. And as soon as they identify some kind of need that they have or desire that they have, bam, somebody shows up that is, that fills that bill right then and there. It's remarkable. Or how about when you're thinking about somebody and all of a sudden they call, I see that as a confirmation of connection with what's happening. And for me, it's not always, overt signs and signals, but it is evidence of some kind of connection. So, like, I've been noticing lately when I'm doing sessions with people more and more, when I ask them a question, I often know the answer before they answer the question. So, for instance, if somebody is visualizing something and I'll say, well, what color is it? And I'll know before they say. So maybe that's just an indicator that I'm becoming more connected, that I'm being more present into the field that we're all connected into, right? But I love that there's a feedback loop that we can create in this field, right? That we can have a give and take, and ask and ye shall receive kind of thing, So asking for a sign and a symbol that'll show up in a way that is delightful and unanticipated. That's a wonderful thing to ask for in our meditations or our prayers, to be requesting these winks. I'm wondering if you have any stories to share. I'm trying to think of some other ones that I've taken as signs or symbols. Oh, we could also just be talking about messages, the messages that we receive. So yesterday I muscle test a lot, just for what's best. Is it best for me to go do this now or do that now, whatever. And this was interesting because yesterday I got the answer that it was important for me to come home. Had no reason why. Don't even know when I came home. Nothing occurred that would validate that it was important for me to be home at that time. But I've learned over time to follow whatever the guidance is. When I get an impulse to do something, typically I follow that calling. When I have a calling to do something, not just an impulse. I'm not talking about being impulsive. I'm talking about when I get a message of some sort, I follow it. And the reason for that is, over the years, having not paid attention and having consequences, for not listening. And I think we get to learn over time how better to dance with the universe, to dance with the knowing that we are privy to listen to the guidance that we receive, probably because we've paid the price for not doing so. Sometimes we want something so badly that we will not listen to the signals and signs that are being presented to us. Like maybe we meet somebody and they seem so extraordinary, and we want that relationship so badly that we overlook certain things on the way there, and then can end up paying dire consequences for having not paid attention, right, to the red flags that may have come along the way. So we're receiving information all the time on so many different levels and dimensions, that most of that information is received in an other than conscious way. Most of that information is integrated through calibrations that are happening on an other than conscious level. So y'all probably know that most of communication is nonverbal, that the bulk of the communications that we make or receive goes way, way, way beyond the words that are used. We get communication through inflection, through body language, through proximity, through we perceive things that happen when we're communicating that we're not in any way consciously aware of. For instance, the skin tone, the amount of whether somebody's sweating or not, the changes in temperature, quick twitches of a muscle, all these things. We're perceiving all of that and processing all that information, but not necessarily in a conscious way. We're not necessarily consciously attuned to those subtleties. And therefore, a lot of the gut feeling that we have comes from the processing of all that information that didn't register consciously. So we could have a really strong gut feeling about something, but we don't know where that idea or that feeling came from. We don't know where that determination came from necessarily, but what's happening is that we're processing tons of information that's skipping by our conscious mind in many, many cases. So I think that one of the years ago, I took training in NeuroLinguistic Programming, and it was in that training that I was taught to be more conscious of these clues that we get in communication. So for instance, the breath rate, the dilation of the pupils, the subtle changes in muscle tension, etc. And these are all signs, so to speak, that we can become acclimated to, or that we can train ourselves into awareness for on a conscious level. And I'm wondering, these other signs and signals from the universe, if we can become more consciously attuned to them as well, to notice things, to not take things for granted, to imagine life as metaphor, not just, so maybe a moth isn't always just a moth, and maybe it is. So years and years ago, I had a friend who used to say, everything is symbolic and nothing is symbolic. And I wasn't able to reach you guys on Friday. We were having I was having technical difficulties, and the topic was going to be holding a paradox, holding the opposites, with the open hand. And that's kind of like the everything and nothing is symbolic. So Alexandra, thank you so much for sharing here. So Alexandra says, thanks for sharing your story, Mira. My mother just passed away last week. Oh, Alexandra, I'm so sorry for your loss. And that's got to be tremendously hard for you. I'm sorry. So Alexandra goes on, and since she passed, I've had multiple synchronicities happening, especially butterflies flying towards me and staying around me for a while. I know it's her. One butterfly was on my door, and I didn't even notice it until I was about opening the lock. I said, Mom, I know this is you. And immediately the butterfly flapped its wing, but remained there. It was very peaceful as we both stood there staring at each other. Just as soon as I was thinking, how do I get into the house without moving the butterfly, it immediately flew off. I've always seen butterflies, but they never came towards me as I am experiencing now. I'm truly grateful for the signs, and I know she is always with me. Alexandra, thank you so much for sharing that story. What a beautiful story. And what a gift that your mom showed up as a butterfly. I love it. That's so awesome. And multiple butterflies, and that you were able to notice and receive her. That's so beautiful. And I think we all have stories like that. And I am so grateful to you for sharing that. Anyway, so signs, keep an eye out, keep an open mind for signs, and our guidedness. It's there all the time. So with so much love and so much appreciation to you, I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live each weekday morning here on Enlightened World Network on the Facebook page. And please check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Living and EWN One with the Earth. And until next time, watch for the signs. So much love to you.